In this lesson, you will learn about slide structure and reading order. Let's get started. This module will build on your previous alt text lessons and guide you through understanding what reading order is, why it matters for screen reader users, common layout mistakes, how to fix reading order in PowerPoint and Google Slides, a short practice activity. What is reading order? Screen readers read slide elements in order: text boxes, titles, images. Slides should follow a logical, top-to-bottom flow. Order affects screen reader output. Why does it matter? Let's imagine you are reviewing a presentation with a screen reader and the content on the page is read out of order. This inaccessibility leads to confusion, frustration, missing content. Common mistakes. These next few demonstration slides are extreme examples, but it is helpful to keep in mind a few things for reading order. In these poorly designed slides, you will see a series of common mistakes. Overlapping shapes and images cause visual confusion and legibility issues. Random text box placement without clearly defined headings and labels will confuse screen readers. A visual-only emphasis with arrows instead of labels will also cause screen reading issues. A few design tips to help with structure. 1. Avoid floating text boxes. 2. Use clear headings and labels. 3. Don't rely on color or shape alone for flow. In the following video demonstration, you will learn how to use the accessibility tools in Microsoft PowerPoint to check and adjust the reading order.
Today, I'll be walking you through a few ways that you can ensure the reading order is correct for Microsoft PowerPoint slides. The accessibility panel is the perfect way to begin. On the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see an accessibility panel, or a button rather, that you can click on, and that brings up the assistant on the right-hand side of your screen. Today, we will be focusing on the reading order for each slide. So up on the accessibility toolbar that also expanded upon clicking on the accessibility on the bottom, you will see a button for the reading order pane. Within this toolbar, we'll see the elements that are on the slide and what order they are currently in for reading a screen reader that would read the elements on the page. So this particular slide has the title first. If I click on what's on number 1, it shows that the title would be first. The subtitle would be read second. The picture would be read third, and the page number read fourth. This is an ideal layout for a screen reader to make sure the content is most accessible. The other slides are just providing some more examples how you can see when you click on them, the reading order will change. If the images are decorative or unnecessary, you may have it unselected. This happens to be the title, so this is incorrectly labeled. We would want to ensure that that is part of what the screen reader would read. And then diagnosing a few more issues here. We can see this slide is a bit poorly designed. It has a lot going on, not a lot of white space, and some arrows to dictate movement, first, second, third. So what we would want to do is ensure that by clicking on each of these elements that they are going to appear in the correct order for how you would want the screen reader to read them. So you can simply click and drag to the place you would want it to be in, or use the arrow keys to move items up or down. This will ensure that when presented with a screen reader, the elements are read in the order that you want. And using the infographic included with the Module 2 content will help to ensure that all of those elements are being met when you are designing your slides or editing already created slides for accessibility.
In the next video, you will see Google Slides is more limited in their accessibility review. Be deliberate with your layout during creation.
Okay, now to walk through what the screen reading order would look like in Google Slides, there is much less functionality with being able to dictate the order that a slide is read for a screen reader using Google Slides. However, there are a few accessibility tools that you can look at while you are creating a Google slideshow or while you're editing one that's already been created. So here we see an example of a few slides in a slideshow. You can go to the help panel and specifically search for accessibility. Make sure that turn on the setting for screen reader support. That will ensure that it will work with screen readers. And then also, as you are creating, if you need more help with accessibility, you can search from the menus to make sure that your accessibility support is there. And there is an even more detailed accessibility that you can ensure to look through by clicking in the accessibility help. And this will bring up a much more robust selection of different things you can look through to make sure your slides are designed with accessibility in mind. However, when creating a reading order for a particular slideshow, the most important element to ensure is that when you're designing it from scratch, that you are intentional about your placement with your items and your placeholders to make sure that titles are properly formatted as titles and all of the subsequent elements are labeled correctly, including images with alt text. But if you need to reorder something that's on the screen, you can have, let's say, this title slide ordered correctly. You would go into the arrange order, and then you can change the stacked order in which all elements on the slide are presented. So bringing it to the front will ensure that it's read first with the screen reader, and then all elements that you add afterwards will continue to stack below. So the most important element to ensure is that your title is at the top and all other elements are below. It's a little more difficult to see what order they may be in, so you may need to manually make sure that your order is correct if you don't think about it when you're first creating it, or to have a lot more intentionality as you're designing, because the order is a lot more difficult to discern after the fact.
Best practices checklist. Follow these simple rules when designing your slideshow. 1. Your title should always come first. 2. Create a logical flow of content. 3. Use placeholders for correct labeling. 4. Make sure elements don't overlap. You can download a reference infographic in the Module 2 resources. Now it's your turn. In the next activity, you will download a sample PowerPoint presentation. Using what you've learned, you will evaluate and fix a disorganized slide with a disjointed reading order.